up, nerd family? Welcome once again to the Poindexter Lounge. My name is Enosh, and today we have yet again convened the council, the Poindexter Council. So it is with great joy that I bring this meeting of the Poindexter Council to an official order. Present today are Johnny.
Here.
Jason.
Here.
Caleb.
What's up?
Harrison.
Here.
Zach.
Present.
Tiff-tastic.
Present.
And of course, myself. And it is good to have you all with us today. Today, we are just going to talk about some of the things that we love, some thoughts, and give our different opinions about stuff. Everyone on this council has a great knowledge of comic books, pop culture, movies, sci-fi, superheroes, and all this stuff. And that's why I have brought them together from all across the galaxy, as the Super Friends would say, to bring you the best. Well, like I said before, just the guys that I know. So, but it's okay. And we're going to have a good time. So I invite you to sit back, relax, enjoy the conversation, and also make sure to chime in. If you have thoughts and opinions about the things that we're talking about, please leave a comment down in the comment section or follow us on social media. We would love to hear your ideas and your thoughts as well. All right. And if you have a topic, if you have something that you'd like for us to discuss, please submit that, because we would love to give you what you want. This is what if nobody watches this, it's just for us. I mean, which is cool too, because we do that, but we're going to record it, so we would love for you to be a part of it and to enjoy watching it. All right, today in the council, submitted for your approval, heroes and villains. We love them, we hate them, we love to hate them, and sometimes we hate to love them. These are people. There are people in this world whose only job is to find actors to play the roles that we watch in movies and TV. There are many times when these casting directors make inspirational choices that are heavily applauded and praised by both critics and fans alike. Then again, there are many times when the choices for our favorite characters may seem absolutely insane based upon what we've seen these actors portray in other films and TV shows. Yet, we are not privy to the casting performance and to see what it is that these directors see behind the scenes that we have not. This results in surprising performances that change our opinions about actors completely. Then there are those occasions when, yes, we literally watch a film or show and find ourselves in an epic Jean-Luc Picard style facepalm as we try our best to figure out what the casting directors were smoking the day they hired a particular actor or actress. Today, the council will address these situations as each member will present their own recastings of heroes and villains that just didn't work for them. I submit this topic to you, the Poindexter Council, for discussion. Do I hear support?
Absolutely.
All right, so we may proceed, and you may present your cases. So today, we have Zach and Jason joining us for the first time. So Zach, since you're just to my left on my screen and up at the top, I'm going to start with you and let you address the council first with some of your thoughts regarding this topic.
So when I started thinking about, I wanted to lean into villains. So when I started thinking about a villain that I loved, that I was so disappointed in, I just kept coming back to Jamie Foxx as Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man run.
Yes.
Loved the amazing. I mean, loved the first Amazing Spider-Man. Really liked Andrew Garfield. Got into the second movie. Was actually, saw the early stuff of Jamie Foxx and thought, okay, he looks cool. That this might work. And then just, and actually, I could expand it to every villain from that movie because it was just so much bad, and so much trying to shoehorn a franchise into one movie. So that was the one I was thinking about that I was the most disappointed in. When it comes to recasting him, I didn't have a good actor in mind when I started thinking about it, but I really think a younger kid would make more sense if they were to try Electro in the current MCU, someone who's a little bit closer to Tom Holland's age. And it's, somewhat kind of a same kind of accident kind of feel. Mm-hmm. So
interesting.
I don't know. Maybe one of those kids from Riverdale. I don't know.
I was gonna say the kid that was in Black Lightning who actually played the Electric. He would be younger version, very fit, very. I think he might fit that. Probably not just because of what he did in that show, but I think he'd actually do
Right.
well.
What about the guy who plays Archie?
Oh, AJ Kappa.
Yeah, I could see somebody like that. Maybe.
I could see something like that. Yeah, I'm just thinking. As far as the MCU goes, the casting is always leaning into some. There's always a method behind it, but I definitely would like to see a younger actor play Electro, and definitely a different storyline because it was just so much bad.
Yeah.
It really was, and that movie, that franchise had so much potential.
Right.
When it started off, I agree with you, Zach. It had all the things clicking for it. Andrew Garfield did a great job. I felt, they set it in high school at first, and there was all that tension between him and Gwen Stacy's dad, and Dennis Leary did a great job
Right.
in that role. I actually really like Emma Stone.
Oh yeah.
I've enjoyed her in just about everything that she does.
We just watched her in Zombieland too, and
Yeah.
it was like she's hilarious.
That's when I first
great.
noticed her was in Zombieland. I was like, hey, she's really kind of awesome.
Yeah. I mean, she's witty. She's just funny.
Not too hard on the eyes.
Yeah, not too hard on the eyes.
Right.
She's I
Top five
think
for
about
me.
like even the movie like Easy A.
Mm-hmm.
That was a funny movie. And even when she's like hosted Saturday Night Live, I mean,
Yeah.
we still
When she's like a hot dog. Yeah.
I don't know. We go around just kind of like talking about that a lot. I don't know why, but yeah. So like she was great as Gwen Stacy, and look, I'm a kind of a purist when it comes to that. I like my Spider-Man with Mary Jane, and
But she was so good. You're like,
I know, it was
can
like,
we switch it?
right? It's like it was like watching Smallville back in the day when it's like, yeah, I want Clark to get with Lois, but man, before Alice and Matt got crazy, it was like Chloe is awesome, right? It's like this weird, thing.
This was pre-cult Smallville.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, boy. That's a whole other topic right there.
Right.
Next week on the
Poindexter Lab. But no, I think you make a great point, Zach. Is that there was just something about it, and Jamie Farr is a great actor.
Fox.
Right.
Jamie Foxx. Jamie Farr was Klinger.
There you go. Jamie Farr should. That's what.
Jamie Farr. He
was
could have been a
still
great.
alive.
There's the dream casting right there.
Right there. There's your recasting right there. Right. What do you think? What do you think that the issue was with that though? I mean, because Jamie Foxx is a great actor. So is it just what he was given?
Script. It was script. It was Star Wars prequel itis again, because you can only do what you're given. So he didn't create the backstory for the character falling into the electric eels, and he didn't, so I'm sure he did the best with what he had.
Well,
And
I think it's this, sorry. I'm sorry, Jason.
Go ahead.
No.
I'm sure we all saw Ray, so we know how good an actor he is.
Yeah.
So he could have killed it given the correct story. I just, you can only do what you're given.
Well, and I think Sony often falls into the MCU virus that affects Warner Brothers and everybody else. Is like they think, oh my goodness, Marvel's built this huge franchise, this huge shared universe that we have to figure out how to duplicate. And where Marvel took 10 movies to build it, they're trying to do it in 2. I mean, I think that's the same thing that happened with Justice League and Batman v Superman, all those things. I think it's just where they're just like, oh, we got to try to keep up with this franchise. So let's throw all these characters in, and people forget that in the first Iron Man movie, it was just Iron Man. And then, Nick Fury shows up at the end, and everyone was floored. But those early movies, my wife and I just watched all the way through. We watched in chronological order. So we started with Captain America, then Captain Marvel, and so on and so forth. But it's just so interesting to watch those early MCU movies. There aren't that many characters in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a few. And it really makes it organic and really makes you love the characters you start with. I think that's the reason that, Iron Man has such an impact on the whole MCU, because it's so natural feeling. It's
Yeah.
not forced.
Well, and
Anyway.
when they did try to jam stuff in, that's when they got weak. And Iron Man 2 is not a spectacular movie. I was not a big fan of Age of Ultron because it was trying to set up way too much, and it just felt cluttered.
It felt like a big. Well, from Age of Ultron on, it kind of felt like every movie was a big commercial for Endgame.
The next movie, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Ultron, when you're quoting Pinocchio.
My concern, speaking of Spider-Man and Sony, my concern is that Sony starts to make those mistakes again.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because have you guys all heard of Spunk?
Yeah, that's their new shared universe thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like you said, though, Zach. I mean, they released the Venom movie, and it made a boatload of money. And now they're like, we have a universe now.
Right.
Yes.
Like, they're like, we have this universe. It's like, what?
The Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters.
And they've gone and stole Vulture from the MCU.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
I think that whoever was in that board meeting that day, and they were like, first of all, why do you got to put Sony Pictures in it? I don't understand. Why didn't you just call it the Spider-Verse or Sony Pictures Spider-Verse? Like, if everything's going to have to because everything has to revolve around Spider-Man anyways because of the characters that they own. So why not just call it that? Why go down this route of giving it this horrible name that's now become a meme to itself?
Right.
Well, originally they were calling it the villain verse or something, because their stuff was all going to focus on. It was all going to focus on villains as anti-heroes and get really. I mean, and that just sounded so. I mean, even Venom.
Right.
I enjoyed Venom, even though it felt like a comic book movie from a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
Even down to like the Eminem theme song at the end. It's like, man, this feels like a movie I watched a long time ago.
Just call it like the Sinister Six saga or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and they were going to dive headfirst into the Sinister Six idea, and then they just kind of abandoned that after Amazing Spider-Man 2. So,
well, and I sent you guys all the link. They're wanting to do this. What is it called?
Silver and Black or whatever.
The Silver Sable movie.
Yeah, and so it was going to be a movie, and now there's weird talks that, and like I don't know how this works, but there's weird talks that they want to. The director said something about possibly putting it as a mini series on Disney Plus.
Yeah, the rights for that stuff are complicated because anything short form, I think Disney can not necessarily broadcast it, but they have the rights to kind of put it out there, even though Sony controls the rights. I think that's where some of those things get fuzzy. So if they do stuff like 30 or 45-minute episodes in a short form TV series, then Disney has the ability to put it out there. And then I don't know. And then Sony doesn't have a streaming network yet, so who knows?
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's such a complicated dynamic.
Well, they have Crackle, but that's
What is Sony going to name their streaming service?
It's like an acronym this long,
right?
Well, hey Zach, that was a great one to get us started off with. We'll come back to you in just a few. Tiffany may have to get back to work here, so I'm gonna.
But mine's gonna have to be right here.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to divert to Tiffany on this and see what your thoughts are.
Mine is probably going to be more of a girly question. Mine was not more the villains. Mine was probably a debated topic that I know that a lot of people have talked about. And I don't necessarily hate the person that played him, but in the new Han Solo movie, I liked what they did with Han Solo, but I would have rather had a different actor. And that's where I would rather have Anthony Gruber play him, who played a young a young Harrison Ford in Age of Adeline. And I thought that he did a great job. He emulated him. He looked like him. He sounded like him. And I know a lot of people said he didn't have a lot of acting experience or chops at that point, but give him a chance. I mean, I'm the same reason why I like Mark Martell to, front Queen instead of, because he did, songs, and you got to give them that chance. But I liked the movie Han Solo, but I also wished it would have been just a little. I mean, after a while, the movie, I wasn't like, oh, that's not my Han Solo. I mean, I did enjoy the movie, but I would have rather had a different actor.
And he's got a ton of acting chops now. He's played the Joker in the Telltale Batman series, and he's got a ton of
He does
voice
now, but
acting.
back then when they were trying to, cast, they had like 4 or 5 different options, and I'm like, no, those don't work.
I think some of the concern about that is that he does a really good Harrison Ford impersonation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they didn't want to just come across, I think, as just doing a Harrison Ford impersonation.
He had worked with Harrison Ford for that movie, though. Like,
yeah, so that one's a hard one to call, because, like, do you want him to do a Harrison Ford impersonation, which he can do dead on and you believe it, or do you want to kind of distance from that a little bit? That's a really hard call. But I agree with you. The kid is.
I mean, he looked like him. He sounded like him. He acted like him. So to me, I guess if you're gonna redo, a young Han Solo, you might as well make him look and sound like him. But like I said, I enjoyed the movie when some people didn't like the movie. I did like what they did with it, but I guess to me, just for sake of argument, I kind of wish they could have done that.
That's a good one. That's a good one for sure.
It is a good one.
Jason.
Yes.
For us.
Well, I was also going to do Solo, so I will shift gears a little bit and recast someone who I actually really enjoyed, but has since kind of thrown a wrench into the works of what they were doing. I loved Ben Affleck as Batman. Thought he was fantastic.
Yes.
That's a performance that I thought a lot of people didn't see coming, especially in BVS. He was good in Justice League, and he was good in his cameo in Suicide Squad, but he stole the show in Batman v Superman for me. Yeah. I thought that was just, it came out of nowhere. It's very much, people had and it's interesting that it's usually DC that has this. People have a visceral reaction whenever these castings are announced. You think of Heath Ledger as the Joker, and people just lost their minds. I did. I was like, the pretty boy from 10 Things I Hate About You? How is that? How is he going to be the Joker? I was all for like a full-on boycott until I heard that first.
Yep.
We didn't even see his face. We just heard the laugh, and I was like, okay, I'm in. Count me in. Then we saw the trailer, and I went, yep, all right, I was wrong. I'm gonna go.
That's one of those times where I stood up and I admitted, hey guys, I botched that one. That was
full on wrong. I will openly admit to that one. I went and saw it opening night, and we all walked. I went with some friends. We all walked out of the theaters just stunned at what we had seen. It was that good a performance. And DC has a history of that. Michael Keaton as Batman. There was before the internet, there was a write-in campaign to get him removed, and then people saw and went, all right, that does work. He makes a great Batman. To a lesser degree, Anne Hathaway as Catwoman in Dark Knight Rises, people were skeptical of that, and she did a very good job in that.
Right.
But Ben Affleck, I remember, I don't know if anybody watches Jeremy Johns, but he had done when the announcement was made, he's just got this quizzical look on his face, and he's like, well, that's interesting. And I had the exact same reaction. I was hopeful because I knew that Ben Affleck is a big Batman fan. Mm-hmm. But despite his performances, obviously, he's got his personal problems that he's dealt with. And that led to his exit off of the project. And just for continuity's sake, there's somebody else who I thought could have done a really good job. And he also had talked about wanting to play Batman, and that's John Hamm.
It'd be interesting. Yeah.
He's a great actor. If you've seen Mad Men, he's a great actor. He's got the chiseled features. He looks like Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He's got a presence on camera too. Like you notice him on screen.
And I've always maintained that the hardest part of playing Batman isn't playing Batman; it's playing Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. Because you put on the cowl. I mean, most of that's done by the stunt doubles anyway. So, you put on the cape and the cowl. All you need is the jawline at that point, and then let the stunt double kind of do the kicks and the punches, portraying someone. Because we all know that Bruce Wayne is the mask.
Yeah.
Just like Clark Kent is the mask for Superman.
Really?
Yeah.
See,
absolutely.
That's
because he was.
that's a whole other discussion, though.
We'll get into that another time.
Yeah, that's a
we'll
good
have that out.
good
That could be a
topic
good
for later.
Yes, we'll have that out. But Batman is the mask, or Bruce Wayne is the mask for Batman. So that's where the acting really comes in. Having to be the Batman and then portray the playboy who's driving the Lamborghinis and
Right.
dating the supermodels and everything like that. That's not who he really is, but he knows he's got to play that to deflect attention.
Yeah.
So I think John Hamm could absolutely 100% pull that off. And he's just, like I said, he's kind of got that presence and that bearing on screen of, and I feel like he, not that you couldn't say he wouldn't have left. And again, it's not to denigrate Ben Affleck's performance, because I thought he was just outstanding, and I would have loved to seen him continue doing it because he was wonderful. But for continuity's sake, somebody who might not have left, I thought John Hamm would be a good choice for that. He falls into that category. They went for the older, more grizzled Batman, so he kind of falls into that age range they were looking for. Having watched Mad Men, he can kind of pull off that anger that's just bubbling right beneath that Ben Affleck gave off as well. So I thought, if we can't have who I consider to be the best Batman we've ever had in Ben Affleck, John Hamm would have been a good second choice.
That's a good one.
That's a really good. What do you think quickly of the casting of Robert Pattinson?
At this point, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. I've been wrong so many times with them that at this point, it's like, hey, first of all, I trust Matt Reeves. The Planet of the Apes movies were spectacular. So at that point, I was like, well, I'm willing to put my trust in him. And Pattinson, I don't know if you've seen The Lighthouse.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Watch that. That was the one that made me go, all right, this dude can act. He's, everybody was talking about how small he was, but that doesn't matter. You throw these guys in the gym and they'll put on bulk like crazy. I think he's going to probably come around the same way that Henry Cavill did, where he was like, I'm doing only movies where I have to be this size now because I can't put my body through this going big and small stuff anymore. But
old Christian Bale.
Yeah, exactly.
Sparkly vampire, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, and that's me. Like I have not watched the Twilight series. I refuse to watch the Twilight series. I have no. I think we lost Johnny there. Oh, there he is.
The only thing you've seen they're in was Shark Boy and Lava Girl when the kids were little.
Yeah, so so that is what it is. But I will say that when I heard this casting, like a part of me was like I really didn't have like a major reaction to it. And I think it goes back to what you were saying, Jason, is that I just kind of learned now at this point, they're going to throw some kind of weird casting at me that I'm not necessarily going to agree with at first. And
you got to wait and see.
I got to wait and see. Like, I'll be honest with you. One that this is not mine, but it brings up to what you're talking about, like in that series. And that is Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I hated that. When I first heard that, I was like, what in the world are we doing here? And when I saw it, honestly, I didn't dig it. It wasn't the Lex Luthor that I was used to, that I wanted to see. The more I thought about it and I dwelt on it and saw what it was in the movie and who he was like,
Well, you've seen the characters he had played in the past, and they were kind of like nerdy, geeky, engineer.
And so that's just how I think that we've been conditioned now. It's like we get these weird like stunt castings, we feel almost, and we're just like now. So it was like when Robert Pattinson,
surprise us.
when they announced Robert Pattinson, I went, you know what? He wouldn't have been the first guy that I would have said,
but let's
that dude.
Or Andy Serkis as Alfred.
Yes.
Right?
That I'm all for.
I'm all for that.
I'm really excited about that.
He's good in everything, so
So
he's got to be excited not to be in a mocap suit.
The guy from Westworld as Commissioner Gordon. I'm into that too.
Jeffrey Wright, yeah. Oh, I think the casting for the Batman has been really good so far. I like the idea of Colin Farrell as Penguin. I thought that was good. I liked Zoe Kravitz, not Saldana. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. And his name eludes me, but I can picture him, the guy they've got for the Riddler. Looks like the Riddler.
Dana, Keanu.
Yeah, I can't think
Yeah.
of his last name either.
But I mean, you picture his face, and you're like, you throw the question mark on him. That guy looks like the Riddler.
You know what's
So-
sad about that? And I know we got to move on, but what's sad about that is that we won't get to see what's his name play Commissioner Gordon again.
Right. That is.
J.K.
I love.
Simmons.
Yeah,
J.K. Simmons, yeah.
Yes, J.K.
Yeah.
Simmons.
Yeah.
Because so Justice League was on the other day on TV, and I just happened to come across it. And it was that scene where they're up on the rooftop and they're talking to,
Mhm.
and I just watched that scene and I was just like, man, there's so much there that like he was so just in that
It
little
was so good.
moment.
Perfect casting. Yeah.
He was so good as Commissioner Gordon, and you just totally believe
Yeah.
it. It's like, I want to see that Batman movie. That's the travesty of that's the tale of Ben Affleck's Batman, is that we got to see him in everybody else's movie and all these cameos.
Right.
We never got to see his movie.
Right.
Right.
And there was so much good to be told there.
Farmers.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So moving on. Great discussion so far, guys. We're gonna go to Harrison. Harrison, what do you got for us, man?
And this is the recasting thing that we're doing.
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't like the Suicide Squad movie very much. It was very, very different in many, many ways. I love Will Smith as an actor. I love his movies. But I didn't like him as Deadshot. He didn't fit that mold. Because when you think of Deadshot, you think of a tough guy. You think of a guy that throws people out of bars. You think of a guy who, you just think of a tough guy. And I not saying
pretty tough.
Will Smith is tough, but
That's right.
but I think of Will Smith as more of a like The Pursuit of Happiness. Will Smith. That was a great movie.
Yeah.
And then recasting. I don't know his name, just because I don't know. He's an Australian actor. He was a Deathstroke in Arrow, the CW version.
Manu Bennett.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like a tough guy,
Mhm.
and he just looked the part. But yeah, so
That's interesting. So Will Smith is one of those actors that like I get that, because Will Smith is one of those actors for me that like anytime I see Will Smith anymore in a movie, I don't see whatever character he's playing. I just kind of see Will Smith.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
kind of like The Rock. You just see, because he's in so many movies.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. It's like Tom Cruise for me. I couldn't tell you who Tom Cruise is playing. I mean, maybe Jack Reacher, just because that's what the movie's called.
Yeah.
Right.
But I couldn't tell you what their characters' names are. That's interesting about that, because I was really kind of surprised that Will Smith was cast in that movie
Mhm.
to begin with.
I think he was cast just because of a money draw, personally, just because Will Smith is a globally known attraction.
Mhm.
So casting him was like I said, a money draw. So yeah.
Will Smith is also really straddling that fence. There's some actors that they go from being one thing and then they end up as something else. I mean, look at like Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks started his career off doing, slapstick comedy, silly,
Bachelor Party.
Bachelor Party. What else am I thinking? I'm thinking of,
Bosom Buddies.
I remember watching Bosom Buddies when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the first things I saw him in. And then he and every once in a while, you still see like a little bit of that. Like in Castaway, like it's this really serious role, but then there's like a couple of scenes where that Tom Hanks kind of
Right.
sneaks out a little bit. So it's still there, but there came a point where his serious acting overtook what he
Mhm.
was before. And I think Will
Right.
Smith is at a critical place with his career, because he's been this act. Well, he started off as this, rapper, comedian kind of thing.
Fresh Prince.
Yeah, Fresh Prince, right? You talk about getting, tough guy throwing somebody out. I mean, all I could think of was Fresh Prince getting thrown out of the front door, every episode.
Yeah.
But like he's turned a couple of corners, because then he turned the corner to action star
Right.
with Independence Day, and then other movies, in the
Yeah.
90s, like
Bad Boys.
Men
yeah,
in Black.
like that's what he became, was action star. But then he started doing like these really awesome, serious roles, like you said, like Pursuit of Happiness, 7
Ali.
Pounds,
Mhm.
Concussion.
yeah, Concussion, and we totally bought into that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So now he's like trying to, like, we just saw Gemini Man, and I don't know if I still can't tell if it was the movie that wasn't that great, or if it's just that I was starting to not be able to believe Will Smith as an action star anymore.
Well, Gemini Man seems like one of those movies that should have come out in the late 90s around the same time Face Off came out, right?
Yes.
It's like, oh, I just went and saw Face Off, and then I went and saw The Rock, and now I'm going to go see Gemini Man. It's like,
Yep.
Oh man.
it just feels like it was from a genre or a time of movies that we've moved past.
Another time
Right.
in another place.
Johnny,
Days of
don't you
John
talk
Wick.
bad about The Rock.
CGI in that
The
movie.
Rock is so good.
Oh, that's it's a movie that I could go back to, but it's like, it's kind of like, I don't think you can make The Rock or Con Air or anything like that anymore. It's just like, it's just,
Broken Arrow.
Oh, but I'd love to watch him try.
Oh yes. I actually heard that there was talks of them trying to, for some awful reason, make a reboot of Face Off.
Oh.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't know what. First of all, that premise is the most ridiculous premise for a movie ever.
Right.
Because that just works, right? Like, you just cut your
Right.
face off and you just put it on somebody else and you look like them. I mean, all of a sudden you look
And-
like John
and so-
Travolta.
Yeah, somehow you magically gain 30 pounds. And,
yeah,
Right? Could
yeah.
they get two actors that are at least the same build?
Right?
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah. Face
but-
Off rebooted with The Rock and Michael J. Fox. It's believable. I mean, that was, yeah.
Oh. But yeah, so I totally get where you're coming from, Harrison. I mean, that's I think it's a thing that Will Smith is going to have to deal with or address with his picks, like, for movies going forward. Is what is he believable in anymore? What is he capable of doing? And what kind of movies should he pick? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't personally have a problem with him in Suicide Squad. You know what I do have a problem with, and I will say this: Will Smith, when he gets into that groove where he's just Will Smith, right?
Yeah,
and so
that's when he's
just
genuine.
cool. He's just cool and coming off with one-liners, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
and like when Deadshot all of a sudden is like, oh yeah, well, yeah, I'll do this. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I'm the same character that Will Smith's been playing for the last 15 years. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
That's when it starts to lose me. But like, as a whole, I liked it. But
Yeah.
I totally get what you're saying.
Now, does
It's-
anyone
it-
know? Is Idris Elba in the new one? Is he replacing Will Smith as Deadshot?
No,
Or
He's
no,
not.
they
New character.
they kind of backed off on that.
Yeah, originally they had said that he was going. Originally, I guess he was hired to replace Will Smith.
right?
But then once they got into it, it was kind of a weird casting thing because Gunn came back and said, no, we're going to make you a different character altogether. So
I don't think Joker is either Jared Leto.
no, I don't think Joker plays a role. Obviously, Margot Robbie is coming back as Harley Quinn. Jai Courtney is coming back as Boomerang.
Captain Boomerang, yeah.
So there will be
And
some references to the first one.
Waller is in it again, isn't
Yes. Yes, she
Yeah.
is. Yes.
she? And Flag,
Yes. Rick Flag.
Rick
Yep.
Flag.
Yep.
Mhm.
they did Rick Flag.
all the
So-
same actors too. So
That'll be interesting to see how they connect those, like
right,
Right.
stylistic wise and like tone. Like
Well, in the comics, Suicide Squad always had a rotation of
It was
of
always different
characters.
folks. Yeah.
And
Right,
whenever a new writer took over, it would just drastically change feels.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that out of the question for the comic community. It's just if the mainstream audience is going to grab onto it.
There
You
was,
guys,
there was an article that I saw, and I don't know if I sent this to you guys, but there was an article that I saw just yesterday that talked about how the original Suicide Squad movie was actually supposed to play more into Justice League, and that originally it was supposed to be a mother box that controlled Enchantress,
Enchantress.
Mhm.
Okay.
and that at the end they were supposed to go up against Steppenwolf in that.
Really?
But yes, but that it changed as the movie progressed, and they ended up settling on what they were. But there were supposed to be a lot more tie-ins to the Justice League movie than there was. So
I mean, it makes sense when you see that character at the end. His name escapes me because he wasn't that memorable, but he's kind of got that Steppenwolf vibe to him.
mhm.
Oh, the big fire guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's his technical name.
Her brother.
Fair guy.
I like it. We need a big fire guy. Who can we hire to do that? Will Smith?
Right.
All right.
And the
He's already in
director
this
has
movie.
said,
I wonder
And
what
the
DJ
director of
Jazzy Jeff's
Suicide-
doing.
and the director of Suicide Squad has said that he directed an entirely different movie than what was released.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, Warner Brothers is kind of becoming well known for meddling with
Right.
the properties. I mean, it's like you've hired these people. Trust Wonder Woman is the best example of that, where they kept their hands off it and they got their best reviewed movie out of it.
Mhm.
And
Right.
you know, if they just they turned right around and they were like, all right, Wonder Woman was awesome. Now let us meddle with Justice League.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like,
Yeah.
if you just keep your hands off it. I mean, we also have seen Batman v Superman, the theatrical and the Ultimate Edition, I'm sure. And it's like the difference is drastic.
Mhm.
Like, who thought that those were just good ideas to just be like, well, let's just cut the scene out. It'll make sense, right?
Yeah.
Right.
No
It's
connective.
like it's like you're watching the movie edited for TV.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no connective tissue whatsoever. So no, that's a great choice, Harrison. Hey, let's go to Caleb. Caleb, what you got for us, man?
Okay, so I'm going to go back to what you said about Batman v Superman, and I'm going to recast Lex Luthor.
Okay.
You know, I was one of those people who defended him. You know, I was like, this is going to be great. And then I saw the movie, and I was still in kind of denial. But I want to go in an entirely different direction with it. Richard E. Grant from Rise of Skywalker, at Pride or whatever.
Oh.
Okay.
Huh.
If you watch him,
That's a deep cut right there.
Yeah.
That is.
Huh.
if you watch him in Dispatches from Elsewhere, a new TV show, he really gets that maniacalness that I think Lex has, and he also can play up his public persona of I'm a good guy,
Mhm.
you know.
The philanthropist.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hmm.
That's a hot take. I like that.
That is. I was gonna put like $10 down that you were gonna say Bryan Cranston.
Oh, yeah. I know a lot of people were going that way.
Yeah.
That would have been
I
good.
think
Or
he's just too similar to the other guy that we shall not name.
Paul Giamatti, I think, would have been an interesting choice in that.
Was John Cryer too busy to make it into the film?
Oh gosh, don't.
John Cryer.
I was gonna say something, but I was
Ducky Luther.
gonna leave it alone.
Oh,
That's a good
man.
name, John Cryer.
Couldn't we get Mark Strong to do it? I mean, let's just have him be in every single DC property.
I still say stylistic wise, like as far as like look goes, and I've seen him in good things, so it's hard for me because like and I know a lot of people talked about him back in the day, but Billy Zane.
Ooh, the
Oh
Phantom.
yeah, he would have made a good
Maybe.
Lex Luthor for sure.
Billy Zane, man, with the shaved head and everything, like
Didn't
still
he play
he's got
himself
that-
in Legends of Tomorrow?
What's that?
I think Billy Zane played himself in Legends of Tomorrow.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't watch Legends of Tomorrow like.
Yeah, I don't
Oh.
either.
So I'd have to ask Tiffany and Isaac about that one. But he just has that look, and he's got, like, even though he's a little older now, he still has that kind of that young, still,
Right.
edge to it.
Youthful look, yeah.
He's got a presence
Looks
too.
like Lex from Batman the Animated Series.
Now,
Right.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
Superman
Let me
animated
pose
series.
let me pose something to you, because years ago I did a video about this, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this when we're talking about Lex Luthor, because talking about Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor, all throughout that movie, he keeps talking about his dad, right? He keeps talking about his father and what his father was like and what his father did, and the way that he explains his dad is kind of like the Lex Luthor that we
Right.
always know. My thoughts on it was, back in the 90s, they killed off Lex Luthor in the comics with with radiation poisoning from kryptonite, and everybody thought he was dead. And then all of a sudden, this young, long red-haired, Australian guy shows up.
Alexander Luthor Jr.
Yeah, and then it was revealed that was Lex, that he had cloned himself, and that he was still basically in charge, because Lex always has a contingency plan, right? And so my thoughts on it, and I did this video, man, it was years ago now, but that's kind of how I ended up kind of looking at Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor. It was like, what if that Luthor is that? And that's why he keeps, because that is such a Lex Luthor thing to do, to keep bringing up your dad, to keep saying, well, my dad was this, and my dad was great, and blah, 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 when he's really talking about himself.
Right.
What do you guys think of that?
I think that'd be an interesting take on the character. It's something that, a lot of people wouldn't have seen in the movies, and it gives the character more than just, I like money and I like real estate and I like technology.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jason.
When it came out and people were like ragdolling Eisenberg, I was like, I'm sorry that his plot isn't about real estate this time. Maybe the next one we can get him doing some land grab or something like that. But I kept telling people, because Indish can tell you I'm a Superman purist. I was like, this is far more comic accurate than anything Gene Hackman did.
Oh yeah.
So it's like but they've got people have that soft spot for those early Superman movies.
Well, Gene Hackman was almost like Boss Hogg in those movies. Than he was Lex Luthor. Really, I mean, I like Gene Hackman and I like those movies, but he was almost more like Boss Hogg than anybody else. Like,
even when Superman Returns, when they had
Spacey.
He should not be named.
Yeah, and at the time, looking back on it, obviously what we know about him now, but I liked the casting. I thought he did a good job, but still, going back to real estate, it was like, serious, can we do something with Lex Luthor other than just, I want somewhere to put up condos for people to pay me lots of money. I don't, it's, put him in the power suit, let him fight, let him be the super
villain
villain
back
he
to
is.
the original Lex. Let him be like a mad scientist.
Something, anything, because that to me, Spacey was great casting,
right?
But they totally wasted him.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's a lot of wasted opportunities in Superman Returns.
That whole movie was wasted potential.
Well, and I think he was just trying to play into that nostalgia too much of trying to be another Christopher Reeve Superman movie.
Right. Yeah. And I feel for Brandon Routh, because he was fantastic as Superman.
Yeah.
Looks like Superman. He could have been a generation Superman given the right movie. At that point, I almost feel like leave Lex Luthor out of it. Superman has so many great villains that have never seen the screen. Leave Lex Luthor out of it and have him come back later and do Brainiac.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Metallo.
Do Doomsday for
Parasite.
Yeah.
You're so right. You're so right about that. And I'll be honest with you, there was a time where not too long ago actually, where I've been very vocal in the fact that I did not like Superman Returns at all.
Yeah.
I kept wanting to love it. I wanted to love it so bad, and I just
Right.
couldn't, because I couldn't root for Superman in that movie. I mean,
Super Stalker?
you can't root for him to get back with Lois Lane, because if he gets back with Lois Lane, he's breaking up a family.
Right.
And the problem is if Richard White in that movie is a total jerk and treats Lois bad and treats the kid bad and everything, and
Sure.
then yeah, that's great. But they make Richard White to be this hero that saves everybody and has more
Right.
lines than Superman. And at the end of the day, you're like, okay, I can't root for Lois and Superman to get back together. I can't root for Superman to even be around his own kid, because the kid thinks this other guy's his dad, and because he's the one who raised him. And
Right.
it's like, you're going to tell me Superman couldn't he can fly around the world how many times in a row in the first movie and turn the world backwards.
Right.
But you're telling me that he can't see that Krypton's out there possibly, and fly to Lois and go, Lois, something has come up. Krypton may still be out there. I need to go. I need you to know that I love you and I care about you, and I don't know if I'm coming back or when I may come back, but just know that I still care about you and I have to do this. I love you. Goodbye.
Right.
Right.
Done.
And then maybe have her shout, "I'm pregnant."
Right.
Oh.
Something. But you can't tell me that there was such little time that Superman couldn't, he had to leave apparently right then at that second, or else it was all for naught. That I don't know. And
Right.
so
I love how it takes him a year to get there in the original movie, and then
Right.
15 years to get there and back in
Right.
the new one.
and so there's all that, but I know a lot of people have panned on the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover, things that they like and they don't like. But I'll be honest with you, man, one of the best things to come out of that is there is not a bad picture or a bad scene with Brandon Routh as Superman.
Yeah.
Nope, not one.
That completely changed it for me and made me realize, you know what? It was not Brandon Routh. Plus we met Brandon Routh last year, and that was the first pull for me to look at him differently, because I got to talk to him about his take on the character and what his feelings were about the character. And I was like, man, this just does not seem to match up with the character that he played.
No.
And,
Right.
and he was totally an awesome guy and totally got what it meant to be Superman. And then after seeing him in Crisis, I was like, what in the world? This is like night and day.
Yeah.
And honestly,
Yeah.
Crisis on Infinite Earths made Superman Returns a better movie for me.
He got short shrift with Superman, because I still maintain to this day he could have been fantastic given the right storyline, given the right script. He had the look, he had the love of the character, because I read all these interviews with him when it was coming out about how he used to run around with the red towel on his back and stuff like that and pretend he was Superman. So he had the love of the character. And going back to Bryan Singer, he had the nostalgia goggles on way too tight. And it's like, just let Lex go. People, it came down to, at that point, the technology advanced to the point that people were like, let us see Superman throw down for real with someone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let us give us Metallo, give us Brainiac, give us someone, start setting up a dark side story for someone that he really can just, it's like that line from Justice League Unlimited when he's talking to Darkseid, and he's like, I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard. Always,
Yes.
it's a constant care not to hurt someone or
Yes.
somebody could die. That whole thing. People want to see that Superman, okay, I've got to hold back on this guy, but this one, he can take everything I can throw at him and he's not going to die. So watch and see how powerful I really, truly am.
Right.
And people want to see that.
But they want to see that character, but not Moody. Just
Great transition. All right. I love the fact that we're having all these great conversations within it's like, here, I'll give you a topic. Boom. It just sparks, man. It just goes.
Right.
Johnny, what you got for us, man?
Okay, so I had a couple, and the one that really sticks out to me though is a villain, and it digs into something that maybe not a lot of people would like, but I've thought about this one. So at times in my life, I'm a big Trek guy. Okay, so I enjoy a lot of the Trek stuff. I was really excited at first, and I've enjoyed parts of it with the Abrams Trek universe. There's been some good things and some bad things. Star Trek Into Darkness.
I had
love
a feeling, yeah.
I love Benedict Cumberbatch. I think he's a wonderful actor. I do not think he should have played Khan. I was
No.
really hoping.
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah, I was really hoping they'd go with an Indian actor. And the one that I've always wanted to see in that role that I think could pull off the physical stuff and the, because Khan's mind is always working because he's a genius and he's physically strong. I think it was, and I want to say his name right because I don't want to butcher it, but Senthil Ramamurthy, he played Mohinder in Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in The Flash.
Yes,
Like
right now
Dr.
he's in the Flash.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
Is it? Yeah.
Blood work, yeah.
Yeah.
Blood work.
And so
He's also in Never Have I Ever, which is a show on Netflix right now that Mindy Keeling's doing.
Yes. And
Dude.
I think he would have been an awesome Khan. Like when I first, because we all heard the rumors, they're like, oh, Khan's not in our sequel. He's not in our sequel. And then it comes out, and yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch is Khan. Okay, well.
Because going back in time changes the nationality of.
Well, yeah,
right.
it's like it all.
Well, I think he got plastic surgery or something in the storyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we didn't just whitewash the character. We actually, it's like it's.
Yeah.
So I love Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, like I think like he's done some brilliant stuff. Like Sherlock is great work. He's a wonderful actor, but I just don't think he worked as Khan. I would have loved to see Ramamurthy in there. I just think,
man,
that'd be one of the ones that I would change because
Absolutely.
I just think he brings that, that Ricardo Montalban resemblance a little bit, and, which is a callback to, the Trek old series. And so it's just like,
Space Seed.
it would have been really cool. Oh yeah. I mean,
I just watched Space Seed like a month ago.
Dude, that is inspiring casting right there.
That's a great look.
I absolutely agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. That's the biggest thing about Into Darkness, that it just pulls me out of the movie.
Yeah.
Like when he says his name, my name is Khan. It's like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. You're John whatever.
Harrison.
We're using our made up
Harrison,
names now.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, and I'm Spock. Hey, nice to meet you.
Right.
No.
That's one though.
Speaking of Ricardo Montalban,
Go ahead.
I was just so sad to see his career go from Star Trek to Spy Kids.
He's great in the
It only took like 2 decades though to get there.
Yeah.
I loved him on Fantasy Island, but
Oh,
Yes.
have you guys seen the new Fantasy Island movie?
Not yet. No.
Not
Okay,
yet.
so Tiffany and I watched it the other night, and I will say this: I was pleasantly surprised. Now, what's his name? Who plays Rourke, Mr. Rourke? I don't see him as Ricardo Montalban, Rourke, but the way that they made that story actually was surprisingly good. And they talk about the island and like how it works and why it works and like why Rourke is there. And it's fascinating actually. Like we watched it and I was like, this is a lot smart, because I had put it off. But I remember being a kid and watching Fantasy Island, dip lane.
Right.
And so it was like, like I had to watch it. And so when we watched it, I was like, this is actually smart. It's a smart kind of thriller. It's got some horror aspects to it, but it's not, like over the top. But it gets into, it has almost a Lost vibe to it.
Okay.
But in a good way where it doesn't like kind of let you down at the end.
We have to go back to the island.
right? But yeah, I
We
was
gotta
really,
go back in time.
I was really impressed with that. I was really impressed with that. So that's great. That's great casting, man. That's really good stuff. All right, so we got a few more minutes here. I'm going to give mine. And you know what? I really went back and forth on this because I think there's a couple obvious ones. For me, one of the biggest ones would have been Anakin Skywalker in the prequels. I know there's a lot of love all of a sudden these days for Hayden Christensen, but and as much as we were having an off-topic discussion in our Facebook thread, and I agree. I would have loved to have seen him brought back because I think that he still has potential to be in. Now that he is Anakin, you don't recast him now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
So I think it could have been better with a different director, with somebody else who would give him, not just tell him, hey, here's a bunch of blue screen, just react to this, right? So we love George, but we all have heard the stories.
Yeah.
So the problem is, and the reason why I didn't pick Anakin Skywalker is because honestly, I couldn't think of anybody else at the time who really could have taken that role. I mean, I know that Leonardo DiCaprio was rumored for the role, and he has turned out to be a very serious, good actor now. At the time, I think a lot of us were just like, oh, Leonardo DiCaprio, no, keep him away from it.
Right.
Titanic, no.
Right? But now kind of a little part of me kind of wishes that had happened. Because he kind of has the round face where he kind of looks like, what's his name who played young Anakin? Kind of looks like a natural.
Jake Lloyd.
Yeah. So part of me, and Sebastian Shaw, who played old Anakin, has that same round face. So,
Right.
That would have been like some continuity there, I think. You could actually do one of those morphing things, right, between the three of them. But besides Leonardo DiCaprio, I really can't think of anybody else who could do it. So I didn't want to do that. So I went back to, speaking of Batman, 1989 with Michael Keaton. One of the travesties that I think of that series, and there were many after that series got going, but in Batman Forever, we are treated to a Harvey Dent.
Oh,
that is
so
not
bad.
That is not Harvey Dent. It's the Joker 2.0.
Yep.
Right.
They tried to make him into something that he was not, and he was never intended to be. This maniacally laughing, hysterical, crazy person. And Harvey Dent is not that. Harvey Dent is very methodical in what he did. He was very torn between good and evil. That's why he had the coin. And he was very serious. And like there's a couple of scenes in the movie where Tommy Lee Jones has that moment, right? And he flips the coin. He's like, yep, all right. And Tommy Lee Jones is a great actor.
Yeah.
Right.
But man, I think that movie just failed the character of Two-Face completely.
Agreed. Wholeheartedly.
Oh, yeah.
Which goes back to my thinking, and I think it's sad that they recast him in the first place. Because Harvey Dent was originally played by Billy D. Williams.
Billy D.
Yeah, Billy D. was great
in Batman the movie. And so I really feel that they should have stuck with him. And I feel that if they had, and not, obviously there's all the problems with Joel Schumacher and going in a completely campy, vein.
Fat nipples.
Right? One extreme to the other, right?
Yeah.
But if they had kept it in kind of a serious tone, and Billy D. Williams had played that role, I think we could have seen a revival of Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
And not just for Lando,
Right.
But as an actor, I think that could have propelled him further as an actor. And I just think that in Batman Forever, there was just too much craziness. You had, the Riddler, played by
Jim
Carrey, which is completely over the top, and there was nothing to balance that at all.
He's such a scene chewer in that.
Yeah. So it should have been more balanced. It should have made more sense, but it didn't. And so that's mine is I would have stuck, instead of recasting, I would have stuck with the original casting. And I would have loved to have seen how Billy D. Williams would have played that character.
Well, and they just changed that whole thing. I mean, you know, there's all sorts of articles out there that talk about how they just wanted the script to be campier and campier, and then you also read about the fact that Tommy Lee hated Jim Carrey, and none of them really liked working together. And
Well, now it's come out that Val Kilmer hated it too. That's why I only did one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's what I settled upon, because I just feel that where when you look at Two-Face in the Dark Knight trilogy, played by what's his name,
Aaron Eckhart.
Aaron Eckhart, that is more in line. That was great. I mean,
That scene with him and the Joker in the hospital, just
right.
Yeah,
that's like 3 minutes of perfection,
and just a great balance. So,
but not really a villain in that movie.
That's true. Like,
just grief-stricken.
Yeah.
So I think that there was that balance there, because you had a Joker that wasn't crazy over the top, right? Wasn't silly,
right.
But was the Joker. But you had this balance of, I think it's a good showing of that you can do a movie with multiple villains, and it doesn't have to go off the rails.
Yep.
Well, yeah, and multiple villains, and I mean, Two-Face in that movie is really, like you said, he doesn't turn into this, villain with this huge master plan and a backstory there, but he's just this conflicted guy and grief-stricken, and it works in that movie.
Yeah, right. He's not robbing the Second National Bank on the second anniversary of the day he was caught.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
He just wants vengeance.
There you go.
No, I think that's great. I think that's a great idea, when they got rid of Billy D, I was like, but why? It didn't make any sense.
No.
And he said, I would have done it.
Yep.
Right.
He wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Yep.
Well, hey guys, this has been a lot of fun, and I think you guys have done a great job. You brought a lot to the table, a lot of great discussion. I think no better way to close this up than quickly. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and so I asked you guys to just give me briefly who your favorite mother in pop culture. We got about 2.5 minutes, so just go down the line. Jason, give me your favorite mother in pop culture.
Martha Kent.
I like it. Caleb, what you got for me?
Barry's mom in The Flash.
All right, Johnny.
Well, I got to go with Lorraine McFly. She's
oh my God,
she's the best mom ever.
I hugged that woman. That woman embraced me with tears in her eyes, just hugging me, and she told my wife that I was a sweet soul. I got to agree with you. She's a wonderful lady. Hey, my two claims to fame, man. I hugged her, and I hugged Judith Hogue, man, the original April O'Neil, and they might as well have been the same person. Just saying. Both the sweetest, most lovable individuals you ever meet in your life.
Lorraine McFly.
Harrison,
Nice.
Harrison, what you got?
I'm going to go with a mother figure in Aunt May.
Oh, good.
Okay.
It's a good one.
That's
It's a good one.
That's a good one. And Zach, what do you got for us, man?
I was gonna say Barry's mom. So So I'm in agreement. Especially, I just watched the Flashpoint movie the other night. So it was one of those things where you get to see her post Flashpoint with Barry, and Barry Allen's mom.
All right.
I'm in agreement
And
with Caleb.
Tiffany and I both go with Martha. Tiffany specifically with Annette O'Toole's Martha. So I love it. Real quick, who can tell me Martha Kent's middle name?
Oh, why you got to put me on the spot here?
Is it Lang?
No,
Is it Clark?
it's Clark. That's where the
Yes.
Clark Kent comes
Right.
from. Martha
Yeah.
Clark Kent.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Actually, it's her maiden name.
I was playing the scene over in my head there. Martha Clark Kent, what are you thinking?
Exactly. Well, hey guys, thanks for being a part of this. Thank you all for watching
Thank
this. We
you.
hope you enjoyed
Thank
this
you.
time with the council, and we hope to come to you again with more riveting topics and discussion about pop culture and nerd culture in general. Until next time, I tip my hat to you guys, and I say thank you for being part of the council, and we will see you all next time. The council is dismissed.
Bye, everybody.